Alright, hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Shiflett coming at you from Gamersphere.com, and tonight I'm bringing you something a little bit different. I just got out of the theater from watching the movie Need for Speed, starring Aaron Paul, and I've got to say, I was going to go home and I was going to write a review on it for you guys, but this is a bit different. This is something that I figured would be a bit easier to explain, trying to just talk to you guys, because this movie kind of blew my mind. This movie was a lot better than I had anticipated. Let me back up for a second. What you're going to get from me in a couple of days is a review of the game Need for Speed Rivals. Now, I hadn't played a Need for Speed game since Underground back on the Xbox, so I was looking for a racing game to play on my PS4, and Need for Speed Rivals was the one that appealed to me. Actually, I think that may be the only one right now. So, I didn't have much of an option. But I played this game, loved it, absolutely loved it. If you want a little teaser, the review, the game's gonna get an 8 out of 10 when the review goes up, so be looking for that. But the point is, this game was great. It was action-packed, it was fun, it was explosive. So I went into the Need for Speed movie, and I was kind of torn, because on one hand, I figured, wow, this could be a great movie. Need for Speed Rivals was an amazing game. I figured that could transfer so well to a movie. But, and there's always the but, I was worried that the Need for Speed movie would turn out like all the other video game movies that you hear. I've never actually watched another video game related movie, honestly, that I can think of anyhow, aside from Wreck-It Ralph. Other than that, I can't think of a video game movie that I've seen, but from where I read, everyone I talk to, everybody says that video game movies just turn out crappy. So I was kind of, worried going in to see Need for Speed. Guys, I'm telling you right now, if you want to listen to no more of this little mini podcast than this, go see Need for Speed. You will not regret it. This movie is amazing. Honestly, I can only think of one fault in the movie, and I'll get to that in a minute. But other than that, this movie was great. It's not going to win any, Oscars, anything like that. But as far as an action movie, it's great. So here's the rundown for you. Basically, Need for Speed is, honestly, if I want to try to equate it to something, I would say that it's like a modern day version of Smokey and the Bandit. I don't know if you guys ever watched that movie from like back in the 70s, 80s, something like that. Long story short, Smokey and the Bandit was about a guy named Bandit who's running from the cops. He's going coast to coast. Well, not coast to coast, but he's driving long distance in a short amount of time. So he's trying to get from point A to point B really quickly. And his buddy Snowman, who drives a semi, he's watching out for Bandit, covering the road ahead of him, keeping cops away, whatnot. They work as a great team, and they get the job done. Well, Need for Speed is a bit like that. There's actually a lot of similarities, but there's some subtle differences that could set the two apart. But hands down, Need for Speed is the better movie of the two. Basically, the movie starts out as a guy, I honestly, for the life of me, cannot remember his first name, but his last name is Marshall. And this Marshall guy, that's Aaron Paul for you, he owns a shop. He's a mechanic. Actually, his dad owned the place, but his dad just recently passed away. So, at the beginning of the movie, you see him talking to a bank, I guess investor, or whoever gives out the loans at a bank. I don't know, because I've never gotten a loan. But he's talking to this guy, and they're behind on the loan. Ever since his dad died, he's not been able to really keep up with the payments. And so, looks like the place is going to go under. Until a guy named Dino Brewster comes in. And Dino Brewster is a famous racer. Everybody knows him. He's won the Indy 500. So, this guy, he's the talk of the town. So he walks in, and he says, Marshall, I've got this deal for you. You fix up this Mustang for me, and when I sell it, you'll get a quarter of the profit. Now, this isn't any old Mustang. And from a Mustang fan like me, I want a Mustang when I, get a legit job. I want a Mustang. So this movie was perfect for me. But nonetheless, he says this isn't any old Mustang. This is the last Mustang that Carroll Shelby was working on before he passed away. this car is valued at over $2 million, so I want you to finish the job that Shelby couldn't, and I want you to be able to help me sell this car. So Marshall starts working on this car. He gets it all fixed up, and they go to sell it. Next thing you know, the car is about ready to be sold for $2.7 million. Well, I see, this is where trying to break it down for you gets difficult, because then one thing leads to another, and I cannot spoil this for you because this is a legit twist, but one thing leads to another, and I'm skipping over some parts. But now Marshall went to jail for something that I can't tell you about, but he wants revenge. And Dino Brewster's involved, but again, I can't tell you exactly what it is, but he wants revenge on Dino for whatever happened that I can't tell you about. So he gets out of jail, and he calls up the guy who bought the Mustang, says, hey, I need to borrow this Mustang so I can enter the De Leon race. De Leon is a big winner-takes-all race in California that's held every year. This mysterious dude who's apparently got tons of money and nobody knows who he is, he runs this event, and so the only way to get into the event is by invitation. So Marshall gets out of jail. He says, I need to get an invitation to this event. So he gets this Shelby Mustang that he worked on, and he starts driving to California, because that's where their race is going to be held in 45 hours. He's got to make it from New York to San Fran in 45 hours. So he starts driving, and excuse me, he's got I want to say daughter, maybe not daughter, but a relative of the man who bought the Mustang, delivers the car to him, and she buddies it with him cross country. She's like, if I'm going to give you this car, I'm going to drive with you. So they start heading cross country, and then this is where it turns into Need for Speed Rivals on screen, because next thing you know, he starts evading the cops, because in order to get a invitation to the De Leon, he's got to do something big. He's got to put a video up online that people are going to talk about, that's going to get Mr. Mysterious to notice, and eventually, if Mr. Mysterious notices this guy, he'll send him a invitation. So, Marshall, he knows he's got to do something crazy. He does just that. He, outruns the cops, high-speed chase, and his buddy is, I call him a snowman, except he's not snowman. I honestly can't remember this guy's name. Anyhow, he's Marshall's eye in the sky. He is the guy who drives the chopper at points, and other times it's a plane. Either way, he's Marshall's radar. He's watching out for the cops. He helps Marshall get away. They post up this video. Excuse me. They post up this video of him outrunning the cops on YouTube. Boom. Next thing you know, Mr. Mysterious sees this. He's like, hey, I want you to join the De Leon. From there, Aaron Paul / Mr. Marshall, can't remember his first name, he finishes his trek cross country to make it there on time, but it's not without trials and tribulations. Dino Brewster sees that Marshall's trying to get to California on time, so he puts a bounty on his head. He says, you take out Marshall so he can't make it into this race, and I'll give you my Lambo. And so, now you've got people all across the country that are trying to get at Marshall in time. I can't tell you what else happens, but let me say this. When it gets to the final portion of the movie, the final race in the movie is Need for Speed Rivals on screen. If you, have any reservations about this game, pay the $5 to $10 it would take to go watch this movie, and if you like the movie, you'll love the game. The two go hand in hand perfectly. I've never seen a marketing strategy this good since Forward Unto Dawn came out for Halo 4. Need for Speed is a great movie. Now, I mentioned earlier there was a point where I said, but there was this thing that I didn't like about the movie. Honestly, there were a couple of portions where the camera got really, really, really bad, in the sense that if you watched the original Hunger Games, you know what I'm talking about? The camera angles were just terrible. In the first race in the movie, the camera's just swinging from side to side like mad. You can't even focus on anything. And it does a terrible job at trying to bring the action to life. There was another portion late in the movie where the camera was bobbing up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. And I was just like, I can't focus on this. I cannot look at the screen. Other than those maybe 15 to 20 minutes worth of the movie, other than that, great movie. The plot line is decent. It's nothing that's gonna, like I said, win an Oscar, but it's not bad. It's not paper thin. It's not overly generic. It was a little bit generic, but not bad. There was a good plot twist. It had everything that a good movie should have. Honestly, video game related or not, this is a movie I would go see again. This is a movie I would go take my friends to, my family. I'd be like, everybody needs to see this because it's got action. It's emotional. Honestly, there was some gut-wrenching emotion at part of it. It's funny. It is absolutely hilarious at times. The way Marshall interacts with his buddies is great. This is an outstanding movie. So, I don't know. I think I saw something online saying that the critics weren't loving it. Forget the critics. Because this movie is great. Need for Speed should be seen by any gamer, any non-gamer. If you like fast cars and action, you'll love it. Oh, and if you're a Mustang fan, you'll love it too, because not only does he drive that Mustang, the Shelby Mustang, that really, I don't even know if it was a Shelby after all, but aside from that, he does end up driving another 2015 red Mustang. Oh, it was gorgeous. Really, you could call this the Mustang movie, and the name would still be accurate, because it was basically a 2-hour-long ad for Mustang, but it wasn't cheesy, if you know what I mean. Like, they put the Mustang in there, and you were always looking at this sexy beast of a Mustang, but it wasn't cheesy. It's not like that was the only purpose of the movie. It made for a good marketing ploy, but it wasn't cheesy. So that's all I gotta say about that. Really, I think that about wraps up my review of Need for Speed. I think I've said everything that needs to be said without going into too much detail about the plot, because like I said, I did skip over about an hour's worth of the movie for you because it's got some stuff in there that I can't spoil for you. It's got good racing, it's got good emotion, it's got funny, it's got fast cars. What's there to dislike about this movie? So, that's what I've got to say. Thank you for listening. Leave a like if you've enjoyed. If you've seen the movie or if you plan on going to see it, leave a comment and let us know what you thought. Thank you for coming to Gamersphere. This is Matt Shiflett signing off, and I hope you'll come back for more content soon. Oh, and before I forget, do come back for the Need for Speed Rivals review I'll be posting. Like I said, I scored it an 8 out of 10. Had a couple flaws in there that kind of messed it up for me, but overall, great game, ties in great with the movie, and if you like one, you will love the other as well. So, that's all I've got for you today, and I'll see you next time.